Good morning, everyone. Let's get our meeting going here. Call to order. And Madam, do we have a roll call, please?
Ron Buckles will be here, but he'll be late. Ed Peters,
Here.
Jason Lever,
Here.
Mark Kelly,
Here.
Marshall Savitsky.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
The United States of America. And
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, is we in compliance?
this meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of Wisconsin statutes. We have one public comment here.
Here, okay. Meeting agenda is set. Any issues with it? No, okay, and public comments. We have Tish. Keenan? Hi.
Hi, I'm Tish Keeling. I'm the new child support attorney for Red Lakota Ray. And just came over from Red Hook. Forgive me for that slip. I just want to introduce myself to you, and my public comment would be concerning your agenda number 12A, which I realize we'll get to later. But since I need to be on the public comment section, I'll bring it up now. I just started in December. However, some of you may remember me when I was the Lakota Ray child support attorney back when we did the original MOU, which was signed by Mr. Howard back in 2012. Yes. Back in 2012, we had the original MOU that I worked on with the state and Sandy and Wood. So I just wanted to come forward and talk about the MOU that was brought to you last month on the 1st, and just make sure that the public safety board understands that the LCA child support department that had not been a set document. It was presented to the child support department like an hour before a meeting on November 22nd. And as you guys know, November 22nd was right before Thanksgiving. Then you guys had a meeting on the 1st, at which point I believe it was presented to you and you forwarded it from there. However, it wasn't a final document. So we are meeting. I've met with the child support attorney that's representing Sawyer County. We've had a conversation in December. The concern as the new child support attorney is that it moves forward without full agreement from all parties. So I wanted to bring that to your attention and let you know that we are still. We have a meeting scheduled next week.
I might have that.
With the attorney that had drafted that draft from November 22nd. I didn't know if you can ask me questions or if I just go forward or if I'm just highlighting that for you right now.
No questions.
I'll just go forward. I don't have any questions.
Yeah, we don't.
I will be back. I promise you. And I look forward to meeting with
Sandy Promoto,
no.
Andy Alvarado.
Alvarado. I look forward to meeting Mr. Alvarado. I have not yet. I know he just started in May. So I'm really looking forward to meeting with him. Sandy and I go way back, as I mentioned. It was not you, Mr. Hellwig. It was a different Mr. Hellwig.
My father.
Oh, see, that's how far go. Yes, we did work on the original. So I promise you this will be moving forward. It just wasn't that version that you guys looked at last week. So
Thank you.
thanks for your time this morning.
And that's it for public comments. Next, approval of last month's minutes.
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, circuit court, nobody, nothing from the judge, courthouse remodel, Andy's not here.
Maybe you'll do it later.
Same thing. Clerk of Court's office reports, January. Morning, March.
Good morning. I just wanted to add a little extra to my paragraph regarding the money that's been collected for victims and distributed. As of December 29th, we were able to pay out $70,000 to victims. 1,000 of that was from a 1999 case. That's huge. The wage assignments, Leslie's been doing a great job. She's got wage assignments coming from inmates from Minnesota and Colorado. To be able to track them down and get that money for our victims is huge. So I just wanted to.
That's
add that.
great.
Yeah.
So any other questions on my report?
None? Okay, thank you. Next one, we have the Sheriff's Department report, Communication Center report.
I'll just start off by saying Tuesday morning, myself with Clerk of Court Marge Kelsey received our state certification of elections as well as took our oaths of office. And then yesterday morning, I had a full staff meeting to swear in all the jailers and road deputies. And we included the rest of the staff as well and had further discussion. And additionally, Andy Alvarado, our county administrator, attended and presented as well. And our staff got the opportunity to meet him. And he presented well as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to the chief here.
Thank you. So the dispatch center had a very busy week during that storm. During the storm and through that following Monday, they had like 345 calls for service. A lot of those were vehicle runoffs, power line issues, road hazards, and a lot of welfare checks. They did a lot of checking on the deputies did a lot of checking on people. Dispatch supervisor Corey Tully worked very closely with emergency management, the townships, the village, the county, fire departments and everything to make sure all the needs of the county were met. So he did a very good job with that. We did finalize a annual maintenance agreement with Lumen Technologies. Basically, that maintenance agreement covers our 911 system. We kind of, I guess, forgot about it or didn't realize it, but when we initially installed the system, we had a 5-year maintenance on that system when we purchased it, and now we had to purchase an annual maintenance agreement, which was rather spendy. So that's an expense we'll have to do yearly. We will be interviewing 2 of our part-time dispatchers for full-time positions today. I think at 2 o'clock we start interviewing, so hopefully we can get 2 full-time dispatch slots covered. So calls for December 22 were 1,288 compared to 1,350 at the same time period last year. And total number of calls for service was 17,920, and that's through December 28th, so that doesn't include the full year. And that's compared to 18,620 for the same time period last year, so a little less than we had last year.
Thank you. Patrol report,
Thank you. You'll see our call volume did increase up to 913 from the previous month. And it also is an increase from this time last year, which was 699. For the reporting period, we issued 25 citations, 1 written warning, 18 non-traffic citations, mostly truant citations again. Per community maps, there were 21 car crashes, 8 with personal injury, and 1 fatality in our county for the period, bringing our totals to date to 321 with 96 personal injuries and 5 fatalities. We did have a full-time deputy leave his position and take a new job elsewhere. We are working to fill that vacancy now. And as the chief deputy mentioned, we recently assisted public health and APS with performing welfare checks in and around the county with the wide power outages.
thank you very much. And now we go on to the jail report. With that,
Would you, Average daily population for the month of December, we're quite down on numbers. We have six, it was average of 67. 15.8 females, 51.2 to males. Average probation incarceration, 7.8, which is approximately 11.6% of our incarceration. Average pre-sentence incarceration is 41.8, which is approximately 62% of our current population, and 17.4 sentenced inmates, which takes up 26%. The highlighted number there to the right in 21 just kind of shows the difference in numbers between how we ended 22 with 21 similar. Slight increase on average daily populations, and our females numbers are creeping.
Yeah. Any questions from anybody? And now we go on to. We have a communication specialist report. No,
We do have the written report that you sent,
okay.
but I don't see John on.
Do you need an order for that then? Or
Any questions on that, anybody? Not,
I guess I do. Had a question I was gonna ask John about the Loretta Draper Fire Department. Power, is that operating? Is that in operation? Or-
You know, Ed, I can't honestly answer. As far as I know it is.
Okay. I just,
Typically, he lets us know if there's a shortfall anywhere, and we're not aware of any shortfall,
okay.
but I will follow up with that. If there is a concern, I'll let you know. If you hear nothing back from me, everything's good.
I hadn't heard anything. It's just that I know that in the past that the equipment was there and there was a question about whether or not it was hooked up even, so.
We've been using it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what I need to hear. So thank you.
okay, code enforcement specialist.
Or did you want to do
Oh.
the contract
Oh, I'm
or
sorry.
wait for Andy on that?
Yeah, I think that's an Andy thing,
Okay.
since, and then John's not even here for,
John Foma's online.
oh, okay,
Oh, John
for
Crook.
John Crook, yeah.
that's John Crook's thing, isn't it?
Yes,
So-
right.
If he's online, maybe he can confirm that with the rate. Yeah.
John Crook is not. John
No,
Foma.
He's not.
yeah. So, yeah, that'll have to be saved for Andy. So we'll go on to the code.
Thanks, sir. Month of December, still getting a good amount of at-large calls. Despite the colder weather. On top of that, a lot more calls of dogs left outside without proper shelter. Thankfully, most of those have been early. Someone driving by and just sees a dog out there and doesn't look for the shelter. So that's a good thing. Less dogs admitted into the mountains. Only one was not returned to an owner. Had to bring that over to NHS. No bite quarantines. Only bite we had for December that I was made aware of was a dog on dog, small. No people getting bit. Then continuing to work on animal control for the county, trying to get work completed over at our building there and getting a barrier installed in the vehicle. Starting to get plans for the rabies vaccine clinic going up. I spoke with Leading Edge yesterday about that, so hopefully
We'll have one this year.
Yeah,
We know what month?
not yet.
Okay.
That's the next thing to work on. And then just getting the word out on dog license renewals. I've been to most of the townships. I think there's a couple more that I need to get out to you. Just posting out flyers and post boxes and such. And then code enforcement side, nothing else from zoning. Been getting further integrated in with public health. With Microsoft Teams and all that stuff.
All other reports? We come along.
Where is?
Any questions for him? If not, this emergency man.
John Crux, John Brown's on.
So Ed, did you want to ask your question to John? Or since he's on now?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Is he,
Is he, yeah.
Yeah. There,
Okay.
he's on.
okay. John, this is Ed Peters from over in, Draper in Winter. I just had a question about, the status of the tower at Loretta Draper Fire Department. Is all working fine?
The equipment's in there and the equipment's tested and working fine. What it was listed in my report was we had the devices that interface between the council and the actual channels go down back in, I think that was about September. And we finally got word back from EF Johnson that they are unrepairable and that they would need to go ahead and we would need to order new ones. We have ordered the new ones. So once they are actually there and in, and DSC gets it and installs it, because they have to interface with the state directly, then we will go ahead and start to begin moving the paging channel for testing, and then that site will become a full online paging site.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and just to understand, and like I said in there, the difficulty that we have kind of in this aspect is that the councils that we currently have are tied to the state. And when we mean tied by the state, we mean literally they're microwaved into the state. So we have to have special equipment, and then we have to get always special authorization from the state anytime we want to make changes and these kind of things. And then that was the difficulty that we had when this interface box died on us when we believe the lightning strike took place. And that really kind of derailed some things and going ahead and moving forward with getting these channels online.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to be able to report that back to the people out there.
Hey, John, this is Mark Helwig.
Yeah, Mark.
Hey, we're gonna go over your contract a little later when Andy gets here. He's running late.
Okay.
Okay, just want to let you know that. Right now, we're emergency management. Yeah, for Andy on that too.
I would wait for Andy because that's probably an item of action you need here.
Right. Okay, so we move on to the child support MOU.
Which is also an item of action.
Yeah, and that's something that we don't even have in our packet, do we? So.
And she said it wasn't finalized, so she's gonna come back with a different one.
Right, I was gonna say that, we want to probably put that on the next agenda. And so we'll be moving on to the ambulance update and billing. John, you on?
I am on. So where do you want me to start, with the ambulance or the corner side?
Well, we don't have a report for the ambulance billing.
Okay.
That's the ambulance public safety report that was submitted.
Yeah, it's the public safety is tied in with the billing. The whole report is all together about, our runs and our billing that we've been doing. The problem is that I was gone for most of the month. So I had Leah, she was kind of taking over and getting the reports up to date, which she did a really, really good job, I think. But it kind of shows you on the bottom page there, page 29 and 29, you can see our yearly runs and the billing that we have up to December so far. And these are, these are the numbers that we're getting from LifeQuest. That does the ambulance billing. I do have a meeting coming up with them in February to go, you know, so they can go over things with me and to just make sure that, you know, they're living up to the things that we asked them to do. So I should have a better understanding in February's meeting about where we're standing as far as ambulance billing goes. During the snowstorm, you know, obviously my crews were busy. We called in Mississippi Welding to bring us a bunch of extra oxygen. So we were able to bring in a vast amount of oxygen and hand out a bunch to people who needed it, who were without power. We did bring some people into the ambulance garage who are on concentrators. Other than that, like I said, I was actually gone for this, so whatever, if you have any questions about the reports, I can kind of answer those.
Anyone? Looks like we don't have any questions, John.
Okay. All right, well, yeah, if you guys want to reach out to me anytime, you can just, you know, I'm usually pretty easy to get a hold of, so.
So was that the medical examiner report all rolled into that too, or is that everyone else?
Well, yeah, they sent all the reports in under one PDF, it looks like,
Okay,
so. And that, as you can see, the coroner's report, or now it's gonna be called, starting January, it's gonna be the medical examiner's report. You can kind of just see what we've been doing there, so if you have any questions on that.
okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Should we go back since our main man's here now? Let's see, what did we skip over? Well, first one was courthouse remodel, right?
Yep.
Anything?
No,
new on
no new updates. We had an update. We had a construction meeting yesterday. Everything's still tracking to be on schedule for the March 10th date. No other real updates since last month.
that? Okay, we skipped over the communication specialist contract.
Yeah, there are some changes highlighted in there. The sheriff and I had a call with Mr. Kruk, went over the contract. No issues with the changes, and we're planning to move ahead with it.
So we need a motion to approve, correct?
Yeah.
Use our clickers or?
I'll make the motion to approve. Contract.
I know, I'll second it. Is it discussion or no? Just what it is.
After a second.
After second it? Okay, so I'll second it then.
Okay. We have a motion to approve, a second. Any discussion at this time?
Yeah, I mean, are we getting our money's worth out of what we're paying for this? We get a lot of complaints and a lot of issues with our radios, even in the jail in cell block C. Do they have, can they get out on the radios in cell block C yet? I just talked to the jailers last week and apparently they still can't get out in cell block C right here in the middle of the city of Hayward. On duty in the city of Hayward, sometimes our radios aren't always working either when I work there full time for the city of Hayward. However, I know that the deputies all over the county are still having issues. Now, I don't know how long we've had him for, John Kruk, and I know it's a big project on his hands too, but I mean, will it ever be perfect, or is there ever an end goal or an end date to really improve the radio systems in the county? I mean, I had all kinds of different firefighters and EMS services that work for the county and cops that said, you know, we should probably bring it up because people are not satisfied with the services that we're getting. So I know that we do send requests to the dispatch center when there are issues with radios. Maybe we should go back and make sure that those are actually being followed up on it and repaired. I don't know if those are on record still.
Any requests that come in through dispatch, they fill out the form. John has been working on an online form for officers to directly do it. I'll forward those forms to John, and then we'll put him in touch directly with the individuals that are having the issues.
I mean, the benefit of his doubt, I mean, this is a big project. I totally understand it, and it's a lot of responsibility. However, it just doesn't seem like the majority of the people who actually use the radios in the county and take calls and are part of the emergency services, they don't seem satisfied. And maybe it's the best that we can get from any service or any person, but it might be something we should ask.
Go ahead, Sheriff.
Appreciate you bringing it up, Marshall.
Mhm.
I think this is good discussion. Couple of things that I want to highlight is, one of the biggest challenges John has faced, and I think it's a good opportunity for him, to maybe add some additional information. He's much more knowledgeable than I am. I've become much more knowledgeable about the radio system than I ever thought I would be. And it has been a challenge. We have also brought in Duluth Superior Communications to help John. And I have communicated with Sheriff Stewart in Washburn County. Tucker McCumber is willing to help us as well. John has been very open to it as well. But at the end of the day, the biggest challenge we've had, more than anything, is 11, 12 years ago, when we applied for the grant, we got tied into WISCOM and the state system. And we are tied into that state system until we have a normal state. And that's where a lot of the shortfalls have come with E.F. Johnson equipment. And right now with E.F. Johnson equipment, when the equipment goes down, we can't get it fixed, or there's issues of concern or China parts or whatever. And we just had 2 communication volume boxes go down, and one went down. We need the other as well. And it took 6 months just to get a response from them. And they're vital pieces of equipment with the system as well.
So it's equipment that's the holdup, not
The
necessarily
equipment's the
services
big
or.
And to be honest with you, on the contract issue, reaching out to some of the others and talking to fellow sheriffs, that contract is typically 130 to 160,000 a year to get supported. And I talked to Sheriff Stewart. You're welcome to talk to him as well. You have a relationship there with him. He fired those Superior Communications, very dissatisfied with them.
Right.
I just want to say that Sheriff knows that I've brought this up in the past, and he has been on top of it, working on it hard. I know John works on it very hard, and I think we all know across the country, parts are very hard to get. And
So will there ever be like an end date or a goal that we're looking for, I guess, or
you know, the sheriff
people being
looks
held
at, you want,
responsible?
this thing is 80% across the county, correct?
Well, we'd like to target the 95%.
Yeah. But,
And keep working forward with it.
and what is our coverage right now? About,
You know, that's a good question. That's something John could answer better than I can. I can tell you, it'll be 4 years in April. I started in law enforcement here. And radio issues have been an issue since I started. They're much better today than when I started. And it's kind of that roller coaster. They get better and worse, and depending on the service. Overall, they continue to get better. I know Rose was responsible for that and for a while as well. And she said, you know, there's always been radio issues, and to a degree, there's going to be some continually. But nobody is more concerned than we are. We don't want someone to get hurt or worse yet, die because of radio communication. And it's not just the law enforcement side of it. It's our fire, EMS, and paging. And we are very concerned about it. And we have regular meetings with John, sometimes more than others, depending on what the issues are. And sometimes they've even been heated. We are very concerned. John has been very responsive. When this storm went through, he called me at 4:30 that morning when the whole council went down in dispatch and gave me a detailed understanding of exactly what had happened and what they were working on. Our IT come in and worked on it. It ended up being the backup battery system issue there had nothing to do with him or a radio system. It was the backup battery system.
And that's not, there's no way to foresee that.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
none.
And he helped deal with it and got it online. I mean, he's done some wonderful things as well. And sometimes I think, to be honest with you, with staff, there is a perception, a negative perception about him personally that has been disadvantaged.
Right. I wouldn't want his job. Trust me, I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. But it was brought up to me by several people, and I guess they're looking for more. And if there's no goal or there's no progress that we're expecting of him, and I guess if that 80%, was it 85%? We said was a goal.
Well, at one time it was 80, but I think the sheriff is looking at higher. I mean, we're always,
Right.
at anything you want 100%, but I don't think we'll ever get that across this county.
Realistically, with WisCom, we're probably lucky to have 65-70%.
But with our new system,
With our new system, we're targeting higher just because of the fact we have more towers. WisCom was operating on 2 or 3 towers. The third tower was the one we helped put in. And it's just not enough tower coverage to handle the landmass across the county.
they have to realize this county, it's a big county. And I am right along with them, with the sheriff there as far as the safety goes. And, John's got a lot on his shoulders, and he really responds as best to his ability. And they all worked very well together when there was an issue. The dispatch and John, everybody worked together, got the issue fixed. But I don't know. I think I don't know what to tell you there.
I guess it just seems like the people who've been around for forever, and I have only been here for a handful of years using these radios, but they just seem like there's no progress, I guess. So that's my comments, and no one's ever happy. I totally get that. There's always gonna be a complaint, but
10, 11 years ago, when we went to WisCom, you could stand on Dakota Avenue and you had to move 5 feet to get in and out. And today that's much better, or was much better with WisCom. And John was a big part of getting that fixed.
Do we want
And
to have,
sometimes they think there's some personality conflicts that are quick to criticize him, but don't want to give him credit where the credit's due.
Credits due.
I agree with that statement there. Do you want any comments from John? Sure.
Yeah, is John on there?
Yes, he is. John, you want to say anything at this time?
One of the biggest things that people have about radio systems, hands down, is you hear new, and the minute that everybody thinks new, they automatically go ahead and think it's going to be 100%. And just like your cell phones, when a new Verizon tower goes on or AT&T tower, it's never going to be 100%, unfortunately. We're faced with the geographical area, but more so our biggest issue truly is we're trying to run 2 systems. We're right now, and if you look at other counties surrounding us, they're not running 2 systems. Example, use Washburn. Washburn is on their own system, and then if they want to, dispatch can link in a WisCom channel. It's just as an example. The issue is that because we have to bridge both of those together. So not only do we have to maintain our system, which, just so everybody knows, right now WisCom has a tower in Hayward, down in Meteor, and in the center of the county north of Radisson. Our new system has towers in Hayward, out by the casino, a tower in the city of Hayward, a tower in Moose Lake, a tower in Loretta Draper, a tower north of Radisson, a tower in Meteor, and then now that the Winter Water Tower is completed, we're going to be putting a tower online down in Winter. The issue that is starting to happen a lot that we're seeing when these reports are coming in is literally education. People needing to understand how to use the radio, these kind of things. And some of it isn't radio issues. Some of it is just the people using the radio. The biggest thing that's going to need to be focused on is the education aspect on it. And that's one of the biggest things that we have not done in quite a few years. In addition, that's just for the law enforcement side. Fire and EMS, they are still using the WisCom system because when this project started, years ago, unfortunately, due to COVID and other things, an issue that we had. We started out with the law enforcement channel. Then we did the upgrade to paging. And then at that time, it was said, well, let's move fire, let's move EMS over also too in the county. So we're all on the same system. We're not there yet for being one system. And that's where a lot of the issues happen. The jail, I guess it's kind of my fault. Maybe I didn't report on it in past reports. The concept and idea was that there were some reported issues, and this is cleanup from the radio service before, how they had antennas and mounted. Prior to Lieutenant Johnson was still there, the goal was that once the, in essence, more definitive completed project of the jail was going to be done, we were going to have to redo possibly the whole jail system. And the reason being is because we need coverage in the large main second 2-floor story part of the jail. We need it in the Huber blocks, but then we also may need it down the hall, and we need to make sure that we have it in the courthouse also too. So that is kind of, we were waiting until that got a little bit more forward progressed on there, and then we could sit down, look at antennas and stuff like that again. So yes, it is how do you want to say, a work in progress. We're never going to have 100%, and no radio service company system, anything like that, can ever do 100%. Last time we had checked and did numerous coverage tests, and even have had some deputies do it, they are running at about 95% mobile coverage, and on portable coverage, we're approximately 80%. And I say approximately because it's all going to depend on, are they using short antennas? Are they using the radios like tucked underneath their armpits on their vest? Are they using it on their hip? Those kind of things on there. There are solutions that we do have in place that we are looking at it too. The squads do have mobile repeaters. The mobile repeaters will work better, but it's going to be something that I think once we see with education, we'll go ahead and we'll start to see the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel.
So John, you say education, do you have anything in the future to, set up a date or anything with the sheriff and the officers to get everybody educated on the radio?
We do. That's thank you for bringing that up. We did talk about it. We were looking at doing some things in December with dispatch, starting out dispatch first. One of the things is there are things in the council that are going to be different and used. One of them is going to be the different audio levels, because it is a different system than Wiscom. Once that could get kind of finalized and we could start to dig into making sure that training is being properly administered, let's go ahead and put it that way, is the best way to say it. And that really kind of comes down to content, to making sure questions are answered, to making sure the dispatchers, unfortunately, they have to kind of almost be like little mini radio techs to a degree. And then we would move it out to the deputies, because one of the other things that problem issues have is running two systems. We can't always communicate with other counties too. So that's where that's going to start to roll out in January here, was the initial time frame. Now that we have a goal or a timeline from E.F. Johnson saying, yeah, here you go, here's the parts you need.
So John, the training, is that a train the trainer type thing, or will you be training them, or how you working that?
I kind of will digress to what Lieutenant, the sheriff, the chief, all kind of think. I think it should actually be a twofold kind of thing, where kind of initial training is going to take place, and then kind of train the trainer to be able to field some of these questions. We've kind of have had that in the past, and that seems to have worked very well to answer some of the questions on there. But it is going to take a little time to training, and that's going to be the biggest hard point, or the apprehensive point.
So a large amount of the errors that we're having for people using the radios are them using it themselves. It's not necessarily the equipment or the radio system we have here in the county.
Correct, because what's happened right now is you literally have to link the two systems together by what they call a patch. And that patch is like a radio bridge, meaning it receives radio traffic from the Wiscom system, and pushes it over to the Sawyer County system, and vice versa. Lots of the issues we've been seeing is that there have been people who are very proactive about being on the new system, and I hate to say it this way, kind of pull them off to the side, and they'll say, yeah, I have seen better coverage on there. but they're not going to go sing it from the mountaintops, unfortunately. And what has happened a lot of the times we've been seeing these reports is that someone's on one system, someone's on another system, and the person maybe on Wiscom keyed up just a 500 milliseconds prior to the person on the Sawyer County system. And then what ends up happening is that message doesn't go out from the Sawyer County system because the Wiscom system's already talking over to the other system. So that creates that confusion, that creates that issues. There have been some recent reports that were given to me. We can see when a radio is turned on through Wiscom. And in this one incident, the checks that came back, the ID was showing up that it was not on Wiscom and that it actually was on the Sawyer County system. And then what was happening was at the time those two pieces of traffic were hitting one another, people are getting stepped on or talked over.
John, there's got to be, I know you're working on this, but a simpler way than this patch that do they have to like switch over from one channel to another channel on the radios, or it just seems like a very complicated system to be able to talk to this dispatch.
Just think there'd be a simpler way. I agree with Mark. There is.
Oh,
Well, I think if somebody else come in, they wouldn't try to accommodate the transition here like John had and having both of them in the patch system. It would just be, you make the investment of hundreds of thousands of dollars to put it to the system and be done with it. And the agony would be all at one time, and once that's passed, you move on. And this might have prolonged the agony here a little bit. The intent was to reduce the amount of agony during that time when it comes to non-communication. But the patch, trying to get both systems to correlate as he describes, has been a big part of the problem.
Sheriff, I gotta, now that we went to this digital thing, how come we don't go back to the old way? Do we have problems then?
We are going to the old way. We're in the digital with Wiscom.
and are we required to be on Wiscom?
Yeah.
No, we're not. It goes back to the grant deal that we got 10, 12
Okay.
years ago and went to Wiscom.
And that's done, so we can
Right.
switch over to our own system.
I can tell you a lot of
Zoom.
agencies in Wisconsin dropped the state digital Wiscom system and went back to the analog system, which we were before, because of the same experiences we've had.
Ain't that Russ County still on analog? Ain't they in that county?
We're analog, Washburn County's analog.
Because it seems to me, of course, since I've been on public safety, we've been in the digital, but back when, when we were in the analog, it didn't seem like there was that much problem. Am I wrong?
John, am I correct in saying that surrounding counties are analog?
Yes. So the Washburn, Barron, Russ County, Price County, and Ashland County are digital for law enforcement, but they are analog for fire, EMS, highway, and everything like that. Bayfield County and part of Douglas County are Wiscom. So Bayfield County is 100% Wiscom for police, fire, EMS, highway, and everything. Douglas County is Superior PD is on there, but the other ones are what do I want to say? They are kind of like a sort of a hybrid where they're on a system there, and then what ends up happening is that they can connect over to the other system if they want on there. But everybody, for the most part, is going back to these conventional systems because we can put up more towers. The technology isn't digital, so it is less in a cost analysis on there and for operation. And to be honest with you, yeah, you're going to have scratchiness on digital, but it's not going to be that kind of sounding when you got a bad transmission that we have now.
Okay, maybe the sheriff or John can answer this. When are we transferring or whatever over to our new system and dropping Wiscom?
That would be, John would be able to
John,
better answer.
did you hear that?
Yep. We have Law D running right now. the issue, once again, this kind of comes into that training aspect, is that people go ahead and are on Law D, and which is our new Sawyer County system for law enforcement. They're using it, but then they might be in an area where there's going to be decreased coverage. Once again, it's going to happen in the county. And the muscle memory response right now is to, well, let's go back over to Wiscom. And then they go back over to Wiscom, and then they might still have issues. But the thing is that it's kind of sort of been accepted that Wiscom has issues where they think the new system should be 100%. So right now we have Law D. Once we get these devices in from E.F. Johnson, that's when we can now start to go ahead and do the next progression on getting paging online, getting fire online, getting and what they call our common channel online. And then that will be moving people off of Wiscom and moving them onto our local conventional systems that will have more towers.
Is a lot of the new system grant-based? Is that why we have?
No, the new system that we've had has all been through our capital improvement projects. See, and just to kind of do a rehash, because I know we have some newer people on the committee since then, is that when we went to Wiscom, Wiscom was 100% described and told to us as being a mobile design system, meaning it was designed for mobile radio coverage only, and we needed to put up towers in the county in order to help facilitate portable coverage. That was not done back then. We suffered a lot of those issues then. That's when we kind of said, hey, let's look at this project to increase the coverage, and we're doing the towers that needed to be put in place, and that's where these new systems are coming into. Digital does represent issues, and the intent is to start to move all the departments over through this year. But the question comes into, and I'm sure everybody can understand, is when we move a department, it's not just us saying, okay, we're on the new system, you got to move it. It's the training of the departments, and it's the cross communication between the departments on there. So if we have 12 fire departments in the county, are we going to say Monday morning at 8 a.m., everybody switch over to the new system and then make sure it's not connected? Or how do we facilitate this? Because one other thing we have an issue with, State Patrol, DNR, Department of Justice, and I'm sure I'm forgetting another state organization in there. They are all on Wiscom, and they have to remain on Wiscom.
Like the two big examples that whatever came up before this meeting when this contract was coming up was there was an issue at the school where the school officer couldn't get out a couple months ago. It was a hands-on taser deployed, someone made an arrest was made. They couldn't get out on the radios. And then the jail thing in sub block C. Are those things we can work on, or is it operator error, or do we not have coverage in sub block C or in the schools?
No, so I'll handle the schools first. So we did the active shooter drill, and everybody was asked to stay on Law D. And I was in the dispatch center that time and everything. And there were a few times that, yes, inside the school, there were some issues for getting out on radio. But just like any other building there, it's hard to guarantee in-building coverage. The question is were they using Wiscom or were they using Law D? That's the biggest question that I usually ask first off when anybody has a radio issue. Once again, the jail thing, we can now take a look as it seems like construction is getting a little bit more. There was always talk of we would have to move antennas around inside the building. That was known for that. So that will go ahead and take place, and we could take a look at other options with it too. If the jail doesn't want to use the DMR system that they had, we could look at going back to the analog system on there. One of the reasons we went to the DMR system when we did, don't think all digital is bad, is that the DMR system offers some level of enhanced security or encryption if we needed, so that people can't listen to the communications.
So John, can you keep us updated on the system then for like jail communications?
Yeah, I have no problem. I will go ahead and we'll start to kind of progress a little bit of a plan here. I'm getting over a flu, so hope to be running again next week here, full speed there and stuff. But I'll start laying out some plans and I'll start working with it. I do want to say that there are some people that have been really good champions that have taken the time to work with me, that do answer the questions, that do this. You know, it's difficult. It is very difficult. I'll be honest with you. I have friends that are in the 2A radio business throughout Wisconsin, Minnesota, that kind of thing like that. And they hear what I'm doing with the system and they said, wow, good luck to you, because trying to put it on a state system that, by the way, Wiscom is in proposal for a whole new revamp of a whole complete different system. So that kind of tells you what system we were on, and now we're needing to move over to the new one.
Okay, so our last, after all the discussion, was the contract. We have a motion, first and a second. So we had our discussion, so
You can use your clickers. Are you not going in?
No,
Oh, that's strange. I told
Does
you.
yours say A on there?
yeah, mine says 8.
Okay, let's try it again.
There
There they go.
There.
I'm seeing them.
Yep.
Okay, they have all voted. We were trying to,
and what's the vote?
well, I'm trying to get it. Usually you just have to click the space bar and it's there.
Not working for you, Lynn?
Nothing's going on.
So.
Otherwise, we can do a
Roll
roll call
call.
vote.
Yeah, let's do a roll call and figure out what's going on. Ed Peters,
Yes.
Jason Weaver,
Yes.
Ron Buckles.
Yes.
Mark Helwig,
Yes.
Marshall Savitsky.
Yes.
Okay, we got a full vote.
Gee.
Hmm?
I just wrote one.
Go ahead. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, I just totally drew a blank as what. Yes.
That
seriously.
happens.
Yeah.
I know that.
Emergency management, I think we were.
Okay, yeah, we had passed that up.
Okay.
That emergency management, Nicole's.
So last month, the sheriff and I had talked about some realignment related to our ambulance, medical examiner, and emergency management areas. So last month, you appointed John Fremmel to be the ambulance director and medical examiner. And we had moved the emergency management into a position with the communications center and the emergency management director. We did internal posting and interviews, and they're recommending Nicole Rapinski for the position of emergency management director. And I'm pointing that way because emergency management is an appointed position, but it's in the sheriff's department and it's a combined emergency management and communication center
So you need
to go to the county board.
to go to the county board.
Yes, please.
Okay,
So we need a motion at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Second? I'll second. Okay, we have a motion to approve Nicole Repazinski for the appointment of emergency management director, and a second. Any discussion at this time?
Then should we try it again?
We can try this again.
Oh.
Lynn.
Try it again. I
Ready?
think I realized what was different. We did a training with the, you still need Ron's and Mark's.
Oh, didn't know if you're ready. Okay.
Okay. And then it did, that's it. Okay.
Motion passed.
Oh.
Maybe a little additional update along with that. So as you probably aware, Nicole is our court security
Yes.
point person. So her and the sheriff, along with the judge, are working on a transition now. So over the next couple of weeks, she'll be moving into the new position. And just, I think you heard a little bit at the board meeting, kind of a bad time to have a major weather event last month. John was our interim, but John also was already off on vacation for the rest of the year. So we had a lot of people step up. Julia Lyons, Public Health really took the command on the incident. Once the emergency started, Corey and dispatch stepped up and did a lot of work, so I think everything got covered. There were some. I guess if you knew at the start of the event how it was going to play out, you might do things differently.
You always do.
Yeah, but I think everything worked out, and we're excited to have Nicole take the position and take that on.
So we'll, go ahead, Mark.
So as far as the,
Well, Mark Gritzmacher as well, I should mention.
Sorry?
Mark Gritzmacher also stepped into the deputy EM role during the event. So
as far as the court person and the officer, who's doing that then?
that's under discussion. And Nicole's gonna help train in her, she's already been training her staff.
Okay.
She might still have a hand in it, but maybe
Yeah,
her.
and we don't have a firm start date with her because we're not gonna leave the court hanging.
Right.
So we're working through that transition. We have it advertised. We also have Lucas and Shepherd's position advertised, so that's 2 certified officer positions. So we're doing internal postings right now. And they have to be up for a week, and then when they're taken down, we also are advertising outside the agency, because when the postings, people post into other positions, at the bottom, we're gonna need 2 certified officers to fill the void. So we know that's coming, and hopefully you have applicants to do that. Maybe we'll steal somebody from somebody else. That's the market out there.
So what's her name? Can't think of her name though, should remember, it, but that was under a grant. The emergency management, you know what I'm talking about?
The emergency management,
Pat Sanchez?
yeah, that
So-
is, there is a state, we do get state funding for the emergency management position.
So is this a new position then?
No,
It's still under
we're not,
grant?
there's no net increase in persons,
I'm sorry.
and we'll still be able to submit the grant to the state for, I want to say it's 80% of the emergency management salary is funded by the state.
Any question?
Is there like, so are you just posting on Wileynet or in-house right now for people to move up into that court position?
That indeed,
Is there any other like ongoing recruitment stuff, or
what's that?
is there any other like ongoing recruitment for part-time work, and is it just on Wileynet? I mean,
Well, Wileynet, our county website, indeed, you have some suggestions?
sounds like I talked to Darren Jensen, Deputy Derek Jensen, I should say, and he was gonna do something at the schools. Is he gonna be able to do that?
We are doing that currently and moving forward at that, but you're looking at a 2-year associate's degree. On top of that, after they graduate from high school, and then the academy, which is another 4 months. We have recruited at the academies. The chief went to one of the last, he's on the Northwood board. And out of the last academy, almost every recruit in there was spoken by an agency already. We used to be able to go to the recruit academy graduations and recruit
Wow.
to get road deputies. But the market is that narrow now, where that's a tough option. I mean, and we're not alone. I talked to my fellow sheriff colleagues, and I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of them have it a lot worse than we do. And the poaching out there from one agency to the next has become very common. And as far as
I know. Yeah.
It pays.
The sheriff and I just had a conversation last week. Now the academy, there's going to be a part-time academy. And how can we, do we need to get more creative and or say, picking up some people, then sponsor them into the academy, that they can work part-time and go part-time to the academy with that new setup.
I just didn't know if there's any other way to groom somebody to make sure that they are gonna come to Sawyer County, or,
and
even right from the schools. I mean, there's people who don't want to leave Sawyer County. They grew up, raised here, and like you.
And the other thing that comes up, Marshall, is, we have maybe jailers or even dispatchers sometimes that have an interest, and maybe especially if they have 60 college credits. What some agencies are doing is sponsoring them to go to the academy. Because to be gone on your own or take a leave of absence and not have any revenue at the same time to go to the academy is really a shortfall. That's what Andy was making reference to, that part-time academy, so that you could attend that, still work full-time and get that part of the job done. But at the same token, we at the county level to fund those people at that. And then, you know, even if you try to sign a contract or whatever with them, that isn't always what it's cracked up to be as well. And to try to retain those people for the investment you have, those are all risks that we
Yes.
face today
Yeah.
with the market the way it is.
And some of those agencies, when they sponsor them now in the academy, I mean, there's a cost of the academy, but you're also potentially paying wages
Wages.
while they're
at the same
attending the
time.
academy. So they're not working for you, you're paying them to go. get the
Also
training.
the back.
Yeah, that's a very big risk.
Full time.
The backfill is a full-timer on top of that, yeah.
I think, I heard a quote one time, I believe it's attributed to Famous Dave, and they asked him about why he paid so much for the education of his employees. He said, "Aren't you afraid that you'll educate them and they'll leave?" He said, "What if I don't and they stay?" So, you know, there's two ways of looking at it. And so I would support the sponsoring. I think you're gonna get more interest in people that just can't do it themselves or
Oh, yeah.
need to work. And if you lose a few, that might happen. It probably will happen.
Well,
but-
that's why we like, I guess I should say, I don't know if the sheriff likes it, I like the part-time academy coming. Because part of the drawbacks we've had in the past, when you look at, you lose somebody out of the jail then, or somebody out of dispatch, and we really need those people working.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's something you and the sheriff can look at and then, I mean, I agree with, Jason there too, that we need to do something because can't get any worse than what it is now. I mean, there's just,
I
there's no
hope
people.
you're right.
Yeah.
But we can't
Yeah, I
get
don't-
worse.
Yeah, I don't know. But say that.
What? I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, okay, I think we should move on.
Yeah.
Well, just to let you know, Andy, that we are putting the emergency manage, the child support MOU to next month.
okay,
Okay.
Why is that?
well, so, I don't know how much conversation happened before I got here. So when I brought it to the committee last month, I mentioned that we've been waiting any feedback from the tribe, and we didn't have any, so could approve it. If they came back with changes, then we'd have to revisit it. So they did get in contact with our attorney a couple weeks ago, and they've had a meeting. One of the tribal attorneys, our attorney in DCF, and I believe they meet again next week. So there could be changes that we'll have to.
Yeah.
There's nobody here from,
Now, Tish spoke this morning.
oh, you did
Uh,
speak?
introduced
Okay,
herself, let us know that
okay.
you guys were working on it. You got a meeting coming up and
We have
You
a
wanna-
meeting coming up, and as I noted in the public comment earlier, the document that was presented wasn't one that the tribe had agreed to back on December 1st. So, and we followed up a couple times saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. So, but we are talking, and I am a new child support attorney, but I was also the original one who worked on the MOU back in 2012 with the other Mr. Howard. So I look forward to meeting you after the meeting, if that's possible, Mr. Andy.
Okay, I was just wondering. Cause I come in a little late. I missed a lot of stuff here. so
Thanks, Mr. Buckles.
Thank you.
okay, so we've covered everything. We're down to Criminal Justice Coordinating Council update, I believe.
We meet again next week. We've had a little bit of attendance issue, so we have not been able to make the bylaws changes to the council that, according to council, that we'd like to. But beyond that, we've requested or brought in some additional attendees from Human Services. So the juvenile justice workers attending now, so we've had some conversations about truancy. The mental health is on there as well. We are funded for the drug court and diversion court. That should be fully functional here in the next, I shouldn't say fully functional, be up and running in the next month. Justice Point is staffing up. So we'll have a full year of that. And then opioid is probably the other big discussion on how to use those monies. We have a subcommittee meeting on Friday. I think public health has done the most work. They're making a presentation to CJCC next week. kind of on their recommendations or what they've found in the community for gaps in dealing with the opioid abuse and recovery areas. So we did have a little more money come in before the end of last year for the opioid settlement. So and I should say the public health also is participating for us at the state level. Counties Association is having a series of opioid meetings discussing the options for how to use those funds. So public health has been attending those and bringing back those recommendations as well.
Okay, thank you, Andy.
Any questions on? Okay, future agenda items?
Yeah, the courthouse there's always judge report, but he never shows up. Is there somebody else from his office that can come, or should we just take it off? Because
I was supposed to get in touch with him and I haven't yet, and I will do that, Marcia. He can give us some kind of report of what's going on there with him. So I'll try to talk to him yet today and see if he can't give us something to report. It seems like now that the courthouse has been going, we don't see the judge anymore, so.
all right.
But, well, anyway, I'll see if I can get a hold of him or I'll send him an email today and see if he can't give us something on what he's got going on in his court. So,
It's not on the agenda, but I just got an email this morning that we did get the tribal law enforcement grant, cooperative grant with LCO was awarded. Checks getting cut and distributed directly to the tribe.
okay.
Super, good to know. And anything else?
And the future agenda items will be the MOU with the LCO and, okay.
Okay. If not, we're adjourned. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks for filling in, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so